Let's set up some widows, guys. Today we're going to do... I have three different species. The brown widow, the western widow, and the Latrodectus renivulvatus. So first up, we're going to do our African widow. These guys aren't as common in the hobby as the other species are. So I was pretty excited to get my hands on them when I came across them. I'm going to start with a little bit of black earth on the bottom. It's not really necessary to have a massive substrate layer for really any of the true spiders. I want to add some sand though, as a top dressing, more so than anything, and more of a bit more of an aesthetic look, or appeal, I guess. It'll also help me anchor my branches that we're going to be using in the setup. So these are ant formicariums that I got from Canada Ant Colony, and I got some plugs made from 3D Hesperus, a local company in the GTA. He set me up, hooked me up with the design, custom build, everything. Fantastic gentleman to work with. I would highly recommend him if you're in the GTA and need some work done for that kind of stuff. So I'm going to use a lot of maple branches because I have a maple tree in my yard, and I want to make a bit of a structure that she's able to make her web into without having a major worry for too much falling over or being knocked down, things like that. Commonly these guys will eat pretty much anything. There's not even really a commonly. I feed them primarily on crickets just because it's local and they're available to me readily. But you could do roaches if you wanted, anything like that, and they'd be happily accepting those without any discrepancies, I'm sure. Keeping the setup very basic is the way that I like to usually keep my widows, just for the factor that they are kind of dirty. They like to leave, well, the remains of their crickets laying around. They also like to carry things up into the webbing to mask it a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit of leaf litter here. Not too much because I still want to be able to see the spider. And I know she's going to drag a lot of these up into the webs on me to create a basket or a hiding place in her version of the canopy. So super simple. That's why we're doing three species in one video today. Going to introduce our little lovely lady here into our setup now. I do not recommend handling these guys or free handling them. They're not dangerous by any means, but they're also not... I've been doing this long enough. I guess I'm a trained professional, as most would call it. So I would typically recommend using a paintbrush or tweezers or something like that. Like I use this pipe cleaner as an applicator to kind of get her to coach onto it. Now she's being extremely reluctant. I could drop it inside and leave it, which I may end up doing so we can move on and set her off to the side. She's just kind of chilling on her brush, hoping that she moves up. We're going to be on to our next tank here. I do have multiple of these, like I said, to do. So we're going to do our Latrodectus geometricus, or the brown widow, next. This girl likes to play dead a lot of the time when she's nervous. So I'm going to kind of leave her, I'll leave her off to the side. Again, I'm not terribly worried about them trying to leave or anything like that. They're more afraid of us than we are of them, just like any spider. And they're not going to go out of their way to try and bite me or anything silly like that. So I'm fully comfortable handling these animals. I've been doing it for many years. I wouldn't recommend that for beginners though. Again, not something that you should just do off the street. I would use like a paintbrush or something like that commonly to just move them around, get them to budge a little bit. And we're going to use maple branches again. All these setups are going to be very, very similar in design, sadly. Giving them something to build a structure of their own is ideal for animals like these, whenever you can. So I like to try and... These are just sandwiched in between. I like to try and give them as much anchor point, or sorry, wrong wording, as many anchor points as possible, but keep it open and spacious so that when I do go to clean or things like that as well, it's just easier to maintain the animals overall. Again, we're going to add that same leaf litter as before. The geometricus or brown widows aren't as common to drag things up into the canopy or their web, as I've learned. This also prevents slows them down from decorating with dead things. So I'm going to move us up closer here, so hopefully you can see as I coach. I'm just going to boop her butt a little bit here. She's not going to turn around and try to bite me or anything like that like you would expect. She's just timid and scared. So I really don't want her to hurt herself, so I'd prefer if she would come off normally, which she's not going to want to do. As you can see, she'd rather curl herself up into a little ball than do anything defensively. I love these guys with the pattern they develop on their backs. Stunning, stunning animal. We're going to use our finger to hold her in place a little bit. Whoop, and she booped. And there she goes. Off to the races. So, with her down in there, we'll check back on these guys towards the end of the video after I get everyone else done up. But the center of these open, which is nice. So I'm going to add a little stick of tape here on the sides so that I just open this top piece for feeding, cleaning, things like that. I'm going to set her off to the side. Hopefully she does something by the time that we get to that. Well, by the time that we get this hesperus or western widow housed up. So these guys are actually the only one of the only species, aside from northern widows, found in Canada. This girl came to me from BC, or British Columbia. So all the way on the west coast of Canada, because I'm from Toronto. So I had a customer who had several of them that she happened to hatch. And as soon as I seen that, I was very excited and very willing to take a couple off her hands to raise up myself. This is one of my oldest girls now. She's probably about 3. They don't really live super long lives, sadly. I wish they lived a lot longer than they do. But we're going to give her a bit fancier of a decorating, because I know that she does like to build larger web structures for me if I give her more things to use. So I'm hoping that I can get her to build a big web in the center rather than off to the edge. They haven't lived in these little tiny containers their entire lives, so don't worry. I put them in them temporarily for the video, just so that you didn't have to watch me struggle, muffin, and fight with them to get out of their temporary housing containers. These 3 actually were living in tarantula cribs enclosures, small tree houses to be exact. I just didn't like them because of the lack of top opening. It made it very difficult to get into my animals and maintain them. Hence the struggle muffin before the video. So, gonna add more leaf litter to this one. I have not tried growing live plants with these guys. I'm sure that if you gave them adequate lighting, you could get away with it because they don't really care too much. They're not going to kill them or anything. But I haven't had the opportunity just yet. So here is our lovely lady. We are going to see if we can coach her out into her new home after I remove this dog hair and this dog hair. I have multiple dogs. And one of them being a husky, his hair gets on everything, as I'm sure some of you guys know. So we're going to don't really want to push her into the corner anymore is a problem, so I'd rather get her to come as she webs on me. Their web is super sticky and super strong. Can you grab me a paper or a... Sure. We're going to use an Apple pencil to get her to come out, because that was conveniently the closest thing towards me. So if I can get her to actually turn around, oh, there she goes. Perfect. But while we were watching the other ones, we had our renivulvatus decide to jump ship off of our pipe cleaner. And now she is on one of the sticks, which is nice. So the top is not on here. Not terribly worried about it. Like I said, they're not going anywhere. Very quickly, at least. So hopefully she will settle in and we can get some nice footage of her in her new home.